It was supposed to be a night of celebration, laughter, music, dancing. A typical Tuesday evening at Jet Set, Santo Domingo's legendary nightclub. But what unfolded instead was sheer horror. As the beat of Merengue filled the air and fans cheered for the man they called the loudest voice of merengue, the unthinkable happened. The ceiling caved in. In seconds, the club transformed from a hotspot of joy to a scene of devastation. Over 200 lives lost, among them a legend. Rubby Perez. Yes, Rubby Perez. The man whose voice defined a generation, whose energy lit up stages across the world, is now gone. Perez wasn't just a performer, he was a symbol, a survivor who overcame a life-changing accident to become one of the greatest voices in Latin music history. But here's what most people don't know. There were warning signs. Some say the building had been under inspection. Others claim there were strange noises before the collapse. And what one survivor revealed after the dust settled could change everything we thought we knew. So, what really happened inside Jet Set that night? Why was Rubby Perez even performing there in the first place? And was this tragedy avoidable? Stick around, because the answers are shocking, and the story of Rubby Perez's final moments is more powerful than you think. Before he was a legend, Rubby Perez was just a Dominican teenager with a dream. Not of music, but of baseball. He wanted to be a pro, swinging for the fences, until a car accident shattered everything. At just 15, a devastating leg injury crushed his athletic future. But life had other plans. During his long recovery, Rubby picked up a guitar, what he once called his new bat. That's where the spark began. Music became his therapy, his second chance. He joined a church choir, then he dove deep into formal training at the National Conservatory of Music in Santo Domingo. And that's when the voice, that massive, booming voice, began to get noticed. Rubby first started out with small groups like Los Pitágoras del Ritmo and Los Juveniles de Bani. But his big break came when he replaced none other than Fernando Villalona in Los Hijos del Rey. That move, life-changing. In 1980, he joined the legendary Wilfrido Vargas Orchestra, a powerhouse in the merengue world. Vargas instantly saw his potential and dubbed him the loudest voice in merengue. Together they made magic. From El Africano to Volveré, Rubby's voice soared across Latin America and beyond. His stage presence, unmatched. His vocals, thunderous. Fans didn't just hear him, they felt him. Over the years, Rubby would go on to release hits, top charts, and inspire a new generation of merengue artists. He became a cultural icon, not just in the Dominican Republic, but globally. What makes Rubby's story even more incredible is that he never planned to be a singer, yet he became the voice of merengue. But as we'll see in the next part of this story, his passion for performing never faded. Not even on the night he took the stage for the very last time. Tuesday night, Jet Set Nightclub. The place was buzzing. Over 300 people packed into the venue, dancing, drinking, living the moment. And center stage, Rubby Perez, giving one of his signature high-energy performances. The crowd was electric. Phones were out. People were recording, singing along, screaming his name. For many, it felt like a return to the golden days of merengue. Rubby was in his zone, powerful, charismatic, unstoppable. But then, a sound, faint at first, like a deep rumble. Some thought it was the bass. Others felt the floor tremble under their feet. Within seconds, chaos erupted. The ceiling began to crack, lights flickered, dust fell, and then a horrifying collapse. Steel, concrete, speakers, lighting rigs, all came crashing down in a deafening roar. Screams pierced the music. Darkness took over. Survivors say it was like an explosion. Some thought it was a bomb. People were crushed, trapped, screaming for help. Bodies lay still under rubble. Rubby Perez, mid-song, was struck by debris. He never made it off the stage. First responders arrived within minutes, but the scene was catastrophic. One rescue worker later said, "We knew it was bad, but we didn't know it was this bad. It looked like a war zone." Over 200 lives confirmed dead, dozens injured, the death toll rising by the hour. Emergency crews worked through the night. Families gathered outside hospitals, desperate for any news. Social media exploded. Videos from inside the club began surfacing. Some showed Rubby's last performance. You can hear the joy. And then, sudden terror. The screams. The confusion. The silence after the collapse. One survivor recalled, "I was dancing when it happened. 1 second I saw Rubby singing. The next, there was dust and blood everywhere." But here's where things get even darker. Multiple witnesses claim they heard strange creaks in the ceiling hours before the show. One employee, who chose to remain anonymous, said the building had failed inspections and that management knew. So was this just a tragic accident or the result of negligence? Could this have been prevented? In the next section, we'll dive into Rubby's legacy and why this loss cuts so deep for an entire nation. Rubby Perez wasn't just a singer. He was a force. A man whose voice could shake a room, stir hearts, and make even the most stoic faces crack into a smile. His music told stories, not just of love and heartbreak, but of resilience, culture, and Dominican pride. He carried merengue into the global spotlight and brought people together on dance floors from Santo Domingo to Miami, Caracas to New York. His breakout moment, El Africano, a wild brassy anthem that burst onto the scene in 1983. The moment that song hit the airwaves, people took notice. Rubby's voice cut through like a trumpet, loud, fearless, unforgettable. Then came Volveré in 1985, a cover he didn't even want to sing at first. He thought the key was too high, but Vargas insisted. They recorded it backwards, starting from the end. That gamble paid off. The track became one of Rubby's signature songs, packed with drama, soul, and unstoppable energy. And who could forget Buscando tus besos? That 1987 solo release launched Rubby into a new era. It soared to number 15 on Billboard's Tropical Albums chart and proved he could thrive without a bandleader behind him. From there, he never slowed down. Enamorado de Ella was a heartfelt ballad wrapped in merengue rhythms. Tu vas a volar became his highest charting single in the US, peaking at number 9 on Tropical Airplay. But Rubby wasn't just a hitmaker, he was an innovator. He mixed traditional merengue with fresh arrangements, theatrical energy, and a voice that could go from soulful to explosive in seconds. He inspired young artists and helped keep merengue alive through decades of change. Beyond the charts, Rubby left a mark on the people. He was generous with fans, deeply proud of his roots, and always full of spirit. On stage, he was larger than life. Off stage, humble and wise. When Wilfrido Vargas heard the news of his death, he called Rubby the best singer the genre has ever produced. That's not just respect, that's legacy. Today, his music plays on, a reminder of what we lost and what he gave. His voice, his energy, his love for his people, immortal. But the tragedy of that night still casts a shadow. In the next section, we reveal the disturbing twist that's emerging, and it's leaving fans demanding answers. In the aftermath of the collapse, questions started pouring in, and the answers haven't brought peace. They've sparked outrage. According to insiders, Jet Set's roof had shown signs of structural weakness for months. Small cracks, leaks, rumors of failed inspections. One staff member, who asked not to be named, claimed he reported strange ceiling noises to management 3 times in the past month. He was told, "It's just old building stuff, don't worry about it. But people should have worried. A leaked document from city officials shows that the venue was cited for safety concerns just 6 weeks before the disaster. What's more chilling, the club allegedly paid a fine and kept operating anyway. Fans are furious. Lives were lost, including Rubby Perez's, and many believe it was completely avoidable. One tweet read, "Rubby deserved a stage, not a death trap." As investigations continue, people are demanding justice. Was it negligence, corruption, or just a tragic accident? The truth may take time, but one thing's certain: this story isn't over. And now, as we wrap up, there's one more thing we need to say, not just about Rubby, but about us. Rubby Perez didn't die in silence. He died doing what he loved. And while that night ended in tragedy, his voice still echoes through every speaker, every dance floor, and every heart that ever swayed to his rhythm. Let this be more than a headline. Let it be a call for accountability and a celebration of a man who turned pain into power and music into magic. What do you think? Was this a preventable tragedy or just an accident no one saw coming? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you felt this, like, subscribe, and keep his story alive.